We're live. All right. So yeah, let me pray and then we'll get going. All right, Jesus, thank you for these stories, for the stuff that we get to dig into. Thank you for these students and their being willing to do so. I pray that the way that I talk about these things and the way that we, Shiloh, don't talk while I'm praying, you maniac. I pray that the things that you place in our minds, the things that you bring up, I pray that we would have the confidence to bring them out. The fact that our words are offerings, and that those things burning up in your name in a place like this, in a room like this, where your relationship to us is the goal, is a pleasing thing to you. So I pray that everything that's talked about, whether it's a right answer, wrong answer, that kind of devil thought would be in your name just totally extricated, that doesn't exist here. It's just taking part in these stories is a holy thing. And I just thank you for that. Even though these stories are horrible and we feel like there's no goodness in them, it's even in the absence of goodness that you fill it with your holiness. So thank you so much for all this in your precious name. Amen. All right, so here we go. The first thing I want to talk about is, this, okay? Obviously, let's get this out of the way because this is the most obvious one, okay? So here's my statement, all right? In both the Theban cycle and Macbeth, the characters are deeply influenced by prophecies. All right, so the beginning of the Cadmus story is, of course, Europa is taken away by Zeus, and then, of course, Cadmus is charged by his dad to go find her. But on his way to go find her, this is when he meets...
Is it Athena?
Not Athena, not Artemis. He meets Apollo, who's the god of prophecy. And what does the oracle of Apollo say to him? Because remember, he doesn't meet Apollo himself. He meets Apollo through the oracle. Sort of like you saw in the Macbeth story yesterday. Do you want to talk to me or do you want to talk to my... Remember that part? That part was awesome. That part was freaky. Do you want us to talk to you or do you want to talk to the person who lords over us?
Oh, when they were like hanging
Oh, yeah, that part was crazy. Yeah, what'd you say? Caroline's like, man, where's the rom-com? All right, what's up, Mia? You're reminding me to take attendance. Oh, wait, no, I did take attendance. I said you were here. I lied. All right. So, yeah, this is obviously something to reflect on. Going back to just the very beginning of both stories, there was prophecy, okay? So Oedipus is obviously the dude that we really ended up focusing on. So how does his fate and also Macbeth's prophecy, how do those things shape their decisions? Think about Oedipus and the things that he did. Mia, put your phone away. Think about the things that he did as a result of what he heard in his prophecy, and then think about the things that Macbeth did. We can just do it quickly. It doesn't have to be deep or whatever. Macbeth killed a bunch of people, especially the people named that would also be kings. And then when he heard the other prophecy, which was like, if Burnham Wood arrives in Dunsandane, that's when your throne will be threatened. All that kind of stuff. Yeah.
They both try to find a way to get out of their
Yeah,
prophecy.
exactly right. Their prophecies were extremely negative. Beware, beware. You're going to end up doing this. This person's going to do this to you.
Kind of adding on to it, is it kind of drove them mad? Trying to
Yeah.
get out.
No, we're getting into that too. The madness that follows is crazy.
I thought it was cool when Macbeth heard that, like, the man, the wonderful one couldn't kill him. He, like, kind of took it on and, like, accepted and, like, used it as a shield. He, like, knew that he wasn't gonna, like, or thought he wasn't. He trusted it.
Yeah, that's true. There were things that it had proven. This prophecy benefits me in a way. It gives me good things. Like, look, I'm the Thane of Cawdor now, or I'm the King of Scotland, all of Scotland now. Like, it was right. But yeah, all that kind of stuff. But now he's starting to see that there's more benefit. This weird, protective, mysterious thing. What do you mean, not born of a woman? Everyone's born of a woman. But remember how I told you guys that the oracle in Greek mythology is like intentionally unclear? There are like some times where the oracle in those ancient stories will say something and people think like, oh, this is exactly what it means. And just like she's saying, Macbeth felt so decided in who he was because of this prophecy, but it had this little ooh in it. All right, yeah, that's good. Very good. All right, Gavin.
Sorry. I thought you were switching
Pee boy, dude. Yeah, go for it. All right. Then yeah, this is the other side of it. There was the benefit, like Haven's bringing up, but then what was the trapping moments? Think about Oedipus now. Go back to Oedipus. What was the trap within his prophecy? It's not maybe you will, it's
He was gonna like kill his dad and marry his mom.
you are going to kill your dad. You are going to marry your mom. And it was this resolute thing, so much so that he did what?
He did.
He just ran away.
He fled. Leave everything I know. This is the only way to escape it. I've got to exile myself. He tried to become his own form of a protective doer. He thought by leaving he could escape this.
He just does it unknowingly.
Unknowingly. And that's the whole thing, is the knowing that we got to move to next. Okay, we're not going to do that right now. All right, so now this is the thing. This is the knowing part. Because what is hubris? Do y'all know what the word for hubris is? What? Pride. All of a sudden, in the midst of all of these things, no way, dude, let's go. In the midst of all these things, the pride that he now feels because he's done something to get away from fate. Look, I've done it. Because think about Oedipus. He left. He bumped into that random dude on the chariot, killed him. Then he arrived at the Sphinx. He hit something divine and something supernatural. He even conquered that. And then he became the king of Thebes. He married the queen. Look at me. I did it. I escaped my prophecy. You know, that's the hubris. But even in the midst of that, he unknowingly did something completely wrong. And this is where the divine retribution in the midst of that hubris resides. What about Macbeth? How did the story that y'all just saw, I know it was over the course of a couple days, how did he do the same thing?
He locked himself up in like the fort and was like, nobody's ever going to conquer me because they're all born of women.
That part's true towards the end. What about the time where he was also becoming king? When Macbeth was also becoming king?
When he brought the knives to his bedroom instead of leaving them in their hands.
That's a really good point. He was like, the oracles have spoken. I'm going to be king. Who cares if I didn't follow our plan rightfully? And then because of that, he had to go in and he had to kill those guys himself immediately because the knives weren't bloodied enough. So he had to bloody them himself. And then he came down and he actually, if you were to go back and read what he said as he's walking down the stairs really slowly to that group of people that's freaking out at what happened, the stuff he says is, it's wild. Of course, y'all, that's not the only time y'all are going to experience Macbeth, which I'm really grateful for. But, man, there's a lot to dig into there.
Wish I could understand what he was saying the whole time.
Yeah, I wonder if y'all felt like this. It's kind of like when you drink, like, grapefruit juice. The first, like, sips of grapefruit juice are like, ugh. But then you, like, keep drinking it, and you're like, this is so good. It's weird. It's not as sweet as the normal stuff I'm used to drinking or whatever. But it starts to taste super good. It's kind of like that. Like, the first, like, few conversations in Shakespearean plays, you're like, how the absolute heck am I supposed to follow what they're saying? And then by the end, you're like, I kind of get exactly what they're saying. Shakespeare's like that. You got to kind of ride the dragon a little bit. What? All right. We kind of already talked about that. I keep on forgetting to put these up there. All right. So what about this? If you were to actually relate this, I don't want to over-Christianese this. You know what? No, we've talked about it enough. Y'all did a great job. Let me just keep going. All right, so this part is obviously very significant. Moral blindness and sight itself. I think that the Macbeth story and the Oedipus story really, really follow each other on this. All right, what you got, Kira? I thought you were about to share something deep from your spirit and your mind. I'm just kidding. Go ahead. You're totally fine. All right, here we go. In Oedipus Rex, Oedipus is blind to the truth about himself and in Macbeth. All right? Macbeth is blind to the moral consequences of his actions. Obviously, we didn't have a blinding scene in Macbeth, but he actually said it at one point. Did y'all catch one of the lines where he said, I gouge out my own eyes? And it was when he was really starting to go, what?
Like crazy.
He was starting to go crazy. And he was starting to see things. It was after he had killed Duncan, he saw a knife hanging in the air, started to lose his mind there, and then of course he saw Banquo. After Banquo was dead, he started to see ghosts, and that was when he started to say, I want to gouge out my own eyes to stop seeing these things. But even in that, what's he really not trying to see? It's not the ghosts. He's trying to not see what's going to really happen to him as a result of what he's done. Yeah, that's what he doesn't want to see.
His blindness of his moral consequences basically led him on the wrong path and basically ended up letting him get killed and wrongful decisions and just going insane.
Yeah, no doubt. Bars. Yeah. And then, of course, the Oedipus story is much more on the nose when we get to the end. But how is Oedipus kind of like this too?
Well, he does go blind.
He does at the end, on the nose. Blindness becomes real. He's trying to dodge the truth. Like he even tries to ask more questions to the shepherd, to the other people from the other city-state. He's trying to be like, no, it can't be. Look at what I've done. Look at the goodness of my city-state. So it's a different kind of blindness, both different kind of characters in that. But I think that not seeing the consequences of what you have done is a huge theme of both of these stories. Macbeth was trying to shove it down, and he went insane. Oedipus was trying to find more answers to hide the reality of it. And both of them kind of end up being like twins to me when I look at that. All right? This is an interesting one. Before I even put my take up there, you gotta let this be a conversation for yourself.
Like in the Macbeth story, his wife kept driving him to do more, and she wanted the power probably even more badly than he did.
100%. Because before he actually took the knife to Duncan's throat, he was about to say, no, he's done nothing wrong to me. He's only given me goodness. And she is she says it a couple times in few different ways. And this is so interesting. One time she says it exactly like this. She says, are you a man? It's a wild, wild line. Are you a man? Oh, yeah. She's a really, really twisted character. And she, because of that, I think it's so interesting. He, of course, sees a couple specters. But she, dude, she becomes she's gone. And it's wild because I kind of skimmed it over before, but when he killed Duncan, he's the one whose hand did it. When he killed Duncan so that he could have Duncan's power, there was something that a voice said to him. It doesn't say it, and it's one of those things that only the character on the stage heard, but he kept on saying he heard it. Do y'all remember what he heard? As a result, as he's pushing the knife in, he said, Macbeth, the voice in his head said, Macbeth will sleep no more. Y'all remember that part? Macbeth will sleep no more. And then we see that he never has natural sleep again. Y'all saw at one point what he has to take in order to sleep. And it just becomes routine. They don't even say anything about it. You just see Lady Macbeth take this little vial. You guys remember what I'm talking about? And drugs him.
Yeah.
He does not have natural sleep again. And I love that, because for me, sleep is a massive image. What is sleep? At least from the way I've talked about it. Yeah, peace. But what is it?
Ability to
Ability
rest.
to recharge, not be insane.
Yeah, it's true. Dude, there was a guy, I went to Asbury, really tiny school, and there were these dudes who were just it was when the Guinness Book of World Records was starting to kind of pop off, and they were like, we want to be in there. What's the thing that we love to do the most so that we can break a record and it'll be fun? And they were like, let's play the longest game of volleyball ever recorded. And so they played volleyball for 3.5 days. They did not sleep for 3 nights. They are not okay. They are not okay. It was when my dad was there. They never recovered. Never were the same. Isn't that insane?
Without sleep, your brain starts to
It starts to eat itself. And guys, this is what's so interesting to me. And this is what a lot of people are like, okay, Mr. You need to freaking chill. But this is how I see sleep. You know what sleep is to me? It's practice for eternity. It's practicing eternity. Every single day. You live and you do and you make decisions and you gain, you fail, you relate, you connect, you get, you lose. You're doing all this natural stuff all day, but then when you sleep, I think it's the most supernatural thing that can happen to anybody, is really sleep. And it does everything for you. It makes your mind clearer, makes your body healthier, and makes your spirit connect those things. I love sleep because it's death practice. It's weird, dude. And from the moment that he makes that decision to have power, homeboy does not sleep naturally again. And neither does his wife. She can't sleep. Even in her sleep, she continues. Dude, it's hell. It's hell. Lady Macbeth is hell. Constant want, never enough, and never stopping. That to me is hell. Yeah.
Was Lady Macbeth the one that fell down the stairs?
And that's the thing about it. Did she fall?
I don't think so.
Yeah, yo, remember that dude that like we never really got the name of that much? He's just kind of like this figure that drifts from place to place. He's sort of like this angel of, I don't know, man. He's an interesting character. A lot of people have different takes on that guy. That's why I love Shakespeare. Because it's just like, what is he? What's he really? What's the symbol? What? Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's like, he wears the same, and to me it kind of looks like a habit. Y'all know what I'm talking about? What he was wearing kind of looked like a holy garb. It like had the, y'all remember? Yeah, the flowy and like he had the rope tied around his waist. That's very habit.
Wait, the guy with the weird haircut?
I think he had a buzz cut.
Oh,
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah.
No, I thought you were- It was just like
Isn't that weird, dude?
He was like everywhere.
He was just in these conversations. There's actually one point when the sons were talking like, oh, our dad has just been killed. And they're down there talking. He's like on this wildly high ledge and he's just like overlooking. You know what I'm talking about? That guy?
Yeah.
He's such an interesting character. It's like, how do I dig enough into this guy?
He's like the overseer.
He brings horrible news. He brings good news. He brings news of protection, but like some people don't listen or it's too late or I don't know. He's an interesting figure. I love that guy. But anyways, we haven't talked quite yet about, when do we get out? 9:10, so we got 6 minutes. So it's just interesting because the role of women in the Theban cycle of myth is a much, much different role. Much different. At least in how they look. The end result is the same. It's death. For all of them. All of them. Righteous, just, or not. They all die. What do you think, Cole?
It's kind of an obvious one, but like without women, like without the little like witch prophet little girl.
The sisters?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like none of it would be without them, and like he would have ever.
I wasn't thinking about those quasi-supernatural women when I came up with this. I was thinking about the actual women in the families.
Yeah,
But that is interesting.
also without like Macbeth's wife, he probably wouldn't have done some of the things that he did, like without her.
Oh, he absolutely wouldn't have. No. He was more so, when he sent that letter to her, which is really interesting, he sent himself to her in a letter. She had him when they weren't together. And that's like a really, for me, when I look at that, it showed all of his like deep thoughts and like wonderings about the prophecy that he had heard. And she read it and she took it to be like, this is it. This is our window to go. And then what did she do to the letter? Burned it. And a lot of people see that and they're just like, yeah, of course you burned it. Talked about, like political stuff that like nobody else should read. But like I see that as like she could see his hesitancy in the wonder of the prophecy and she burned that. And she then looked to the stars outside on her little parapet and she was just like, no stopping. And then that was when she went to bed and said, whatever darkness need be in my bed. Oh, dude. Freaky, bro. Yeah. So how? Come on, dog. How?
So Emily is like, she like has like the doubt placed in her, and then she like kind of like goes to try to confirm this like divine reality, and then Lady Macbeth is like actively seeking and trying to seize this sort of future prophecy, and so they're both like actively making choices that ultimately lead to their downfall.
Trying to get closer to the... That's a solid answer. And take me to bed. No, that's exactly what she says. She's like, I want to be as intimate as possible with you. No, bear nothing from me. Dude, that is such a sick tie. That's rad. Oh, that's the stuff that gives me goosies, bro. Yeah, that's rad. That's super rad. Oh, man. I'm never going to forget that. Sheesh. All right. I think I have this one and that one. Wow, we have a lot. We're not going to get through all that. Let's do that. Yeah, let's do this. All right. In both Macbeth and Theban's myths, supernatural elements such as the witches in Macbeth, the Oracle of Delphi, like Colin was talking about, they play a very key role. So how do these supernatural elements drive the plot? They're unseen.
Tells Macbeth to kill and become the king.
It doesn't.
Well,
It does not. No. It gives no instruction. It just says you will.
It tells you just enough to like make you like wonder, and then your imagination like runs with it.
Yeah, dude. And this is what?
I think it just like lays like a foundation for the entire plot.
Oh, it totally
That's
does.
like-
It totally, because it tells you the end. It tells you the end. Because think about the end of Macbeth. Y'all probably were kind of confused by that. The end of the movie. You've got this weird angelic messenger figure who had saved Fleance. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Gets him from the old man, the mysterious, wonderful old man, puts him on the horse, they dip into a hill, and then what rises? The crows. And then go back to the very beginning of the big Macbeth movie. What's the first thing you see in that movie?
That's all I was
Crows.
gonna say, like,
3.
It's like,
Is that
I
are
think
those
it's
the witches coming out of
I
the?
think it's foreshadowing like the crows like death, because don't crows like resemble death?
1,000%.
It's kind of foreshadowing that like a lot of death or some death will happen.
Yeah, and it's not just some death. It's because there were 3 crows at the beginning. That was some death in the Macbeth play. How many crows came out at the end? So many more. Because who did he have with him?
The prince.
The prince. He had Fleance with him. And the promise that was on Fleance's future was, you're going to be king. And what are we learning about power? If you have power, you bring death. Whoever has power brings death. That's the only thing I can say for sure about people with power. You will kill. Not only because you have the power and the power consumes, but when you have power, you want more. And in order to get more, you have to kill. Yeah. So the Macbeth, oh, dude. Yeah, the driving force of all that is pretty amazing. And it's because it lays the promise. Hold on one second. I have one last thing to say, because this is the only Christian thing I really want to lay on you guys as you leave. The promise of the prophecy is laid at the beginning. Look at the horrific story of Scripture. And if you guys don't understand why I'm saying that, read Scripture. It's horrific. So many things happen in it that have no answer. But listen.
Teachers are involved to go to chapel in the Whitaker Auditorium.
Hold on, wait.
Middle school has advisory groups, and upper school has chapel in the Whitaker Auditorium.
The promise of the power of God is nothing like the power of kings. The promise and the prophecy of the future king of all reality is one who is at the very bottom of all people. The one who washes the feet of the nastiest, who eats with the sick and the debauched, the forgotten. That's where his power lies. So when you look at these stories, and like I said, it's colorless. I love that they did it in black and white. There's no warmth, no life at all. No role model, no goodness. And it's because all they want is the kind of power that consumes and kills. But the real power, the one that will last forever, is the kind that lets itself die, that does find rest in death. That's the only real kind of power. And that's our belief. That's what we're going to go sing about right now, is that kind of thing. So, all right. Good job. See ya.